All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Remodelers on the Rise. I have two longtime clients and friends, Peter Ranney with Ranney Blair. I always say Ranney Blair, but there may have been a little merger. It might be Ranney Blair Weidmann now. That's new, Peter.
It is.
Exciting. And then Shawn Billings with Credible Construction. Shawn, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Gentlemen, we've done some one-on-one coaching. I've done one-on-one coaching with both of your companies in the past, so we've gotten to know each other pretty well. And you may agree with the assessment that my son hit me with a couple weeks ago. This is not a normal thing at the Hunt House. I would say we've been running too quick and too fast, and we have not all sat down as a family unit very often because so and so's going this way, so and so's going this way. But a couple weeks ago, all six of us were sitting down. We actually weren't racing at the end. And I think my wife actually led the conversation and said, hey, let's go around the table and each person share something they appreciate about each person at the table. And of course, some people were like, the fifth grader trying to come up with something for her sixth grade brother. She was whatever. Well, my son, who's a senior this year, he went last. And I think he was really thinking through, said something beautiful about my two daughters and a son, and then something beautiful about my wife. And then he came to me and he goes, and you know what? What I appreciate about you, Dad, is that you are a straight shooter. You are going to just tell me what I need to hear, even if I don't want to hear it. I thought that was pretty good. I was like, you know what? I do that. Sometimes it doesn't sound like you want to hear it, but fair enough. So a straight shooter. So I say straight shooter because that's kind of how I roll. And that's also how I wanted just to set up the first part of the podcast that we're recording today. The straight shooting is, hey, Peter and Shawn are going to talk really kindly about JobTread. Now, they're not going to do that because they're getting paid. I'm not setting this up because I'm getting paid, because I'm not either. But they are big fans of it because of what it has helped them do in their business. And the straight shooting part is, hey, everybody listening to this, I have very much respected what Eric and his team at JobTread are doing in our industry. Gotten to know him, gotten to know the business, seen a lot of my clients successfully use their software. And then likewise, Eric has gotten to know Remodelers on the Rise. And what you're going to hear from both of us is some ways that I can promote JobTread and some commercials here and there in some different ways. Likewise, JobTread will be telling their folks about me. So part of that effort is for me to invite two Remodelers on the Rise and JobTread users onto the podcast so we can talk about it. Isn't that nicer to just kind of get that out there, be a little straight shooting instead of being like, are these people getting paid for this? Doesn't that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I've been asked that question before about
Yeah.
JobTread.
Yeah. We did just take a screenshot of our beautiful mugs, and Bailey was on here a second ago, and I did just text it to Eric because none of us are currently in possession of a JobTread hat. So we were hoping that we would get that based on that. Cool. So Peter, you can go first, and then Shawn, you can follow. If you can just introduce yourselves, who you are, kind of where you're located, and just a little bit about the type of work that you do. And then I'm going to ask you some questions related to software in your business and to talk about JobTread a bit.
All right.
Peter.
Peter Ranney with Ranney Blair Weidmann. As of September 1st, we are formerly Ranney Blair, and we are based in Roswell, Georgia, do design build. And doing that probably 7 or 8 years, our business has really matured. We started really as kind of a build only. Me and Scott kind of all over the place, pulling different directions, and got with Kyle, got some structure in a business, and later down the road I had a JobTread, and here we are today.
Bingo, bango. So you'd say me and JobTread like are the two keys to your entire business?
My two sponsors.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. Cool. And how many employees do you have?
We have 10 currently,
Cool.
and we'll be adding more as we build Ranney Blair Weidmann.
Awesome. Cool. And then Shawn, tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Yeah. So I'm Shawn Billings. Our business is Credible Construction, and we do a lot of bathroom remodeling. We do kitchens, and we do other small projects sometimes, but mainly it's kitchen and bath. We get a lot of bathrooms. That's our main thing that we've been focused on this year, and we've been in business since 2006. Started out just doing everything and anything, and kind of fell into the bathroom market more. And we're trying to grow in the kitchen side of it, but that's where we're at. And We're in New Hampshire on the seacoast area, so we have a really good market here for older homes that need to have updated bathrooms.
Excellent, excellent. I remember when Peter talked about how when he did some coaching with me, it changed his life. You can say the same thing.
Oh, yeah, well,
Business.
it did. It really did help a lot.
Yes.
Coaching with Kyle.
Yeah, we've done that. And Peter, you can say business, but let's be real, it's probably both. All right. So Shawn, why don't you? We'll reverse orders now. Talk a little, and Shawn, I don't know if you can move a little closer to the microphone if you have,
Sure.
if you can. Kind of dive into maybe a little bit of what you were using for software over the years, and then kind of what was working, what was not. Maybe share a little bit about that, and then kind of why you made the switch over to JobTread. We'll talk about a little bit of the implementation of it, et cetera, in a little bit. But what were you using? What were you trying to kind of solve by switching over to JobTread?
Sure. So I started out with Clear Estimates a long time ago, like 10 years ago plus. That was really the first and only thing I used to estimate all my projects. And then I would say about 4 years ago, we went to BuilderTrend, started implementing some of the systems from there, doing some of the, using some of it, but not all of it, trying to figure out how we want to use it, how it fits in, making the systems, and not estimating in it whatsoever. I stayed with Clear Estimates the entire time.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then from there, we made the jump to JobTread to try to find that one system that can kind of do everything. And I don't have to find, a couple different apps to be in it. Plus, with the way BuilderTrend was going, we didn't really like the way they were going with their model and how they were pushing their system. So we felt like that was a good time to jump into something that was growing and exciting.
Yeah, and I think that's something I always. Anytime we're talking about different companies, I'm not in the mood ever to kind of disparage or say, "Wow, they were doing this, what they were doing that." In your case, like Clear Estimates, very nice estimating system, been around for a long time. There's still a lot of people who utilize a good database. You're pretty user friendly, and then but you were using that plus another software, and part of your, it sounds like, key there was, where is that elusive software that we're kind of all looking for to just streamline everything a little bit more smoothly? So as you were kind of digging into things, that's what attracted you to the JobTread route.
Yeah, and I never wanted to take Clear Estimates and put it into BuilderTrend, but I had to copy things over at least enough to job cost things. And it just made so much more sense the way JobTread was set up, how quick and easy it is to navigate through things, that we can see everything the way we want to see it, set it up how we want to see it, and it started kind of moving that system over. I still currently use Clear Estimates, but that's on us implementing it, getting it completely moved over. But obviously they've made some recent changes, which has really forced us to start doing that.
Cool. And Peter, what's kind of your software story and whatnot?
We joined BuilderTrend probably like 2016 or 2017. And from there, we were just doing, like a lot of people, pretty much nothing. And we were looking for a system to really help us bring the project together, communicate better with the clients, all the stuff that most people look for in a project management system. And we were with them until really about 2 years ago. What led us to make the switch is we were really trying to improve our job costing, which at the time was pretty poor, especially considering, I'm a former accountant. My business partner is a finance major in college. So it's kind of like the last thing we finally got really like honed in our business. But when I was researching other platforms, I just came across JobTread, and the budget tab spoke to me about how we can job cost better and how all the information connected together, in my opinion, better for our business.
Okay, if I can pause there and just rant for a second on job costing. Remodelers who are listening to this, forget about the JobTread and blah, 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 blah. Job costing. You have got to be able to clearly see what your expected cost and gross profit is and what your actual cost and gross profit is. when we talk about knowing your numbers, that is a huge facet of it. When we are able to see if there's slippage, we're making less than what we were expecting, or grippage where we're making more than what we were expecting, that is where the rubber hits the road. That is how we hold on to more gross profit, more net profit, and really start to become a remodeler on the rise. I've been trying to tie that in a little bit more. But job costing, we can't stress the importance enough. Shawn, you were hitting on it. And then Peter, that was one of the main things you were looking for, is how do we simplify the job costing? Cool. So that gives me a little bit of an understanding for both of you, kind of what you guys were doing before, maybe some of the challenges, why you were looking to make the switch. Talk to me about maybe a couple features or things that you've kind of gravitated towards, or that you've appreciated the most as you've been getting JobTread implemented. And Peter, you can go first.
One of the unexpected things that I didn't understand fully until very recently was APIs and the way JobTread can connect to other software. So JobTread does a lot of things well, but it doesn't do everything for that matter, or even everything well. So with an open API system like JobTread, we can connect, for example, to Zapier, and I can have different things happen from HubSpot to create deals, and things that can automate and create a lot of consistency. That's been like I didn't realize that was a part of the world that existed in software. As you know, I'm an uninformed software person.
So you're going to maybe share a couple other ones in a second, but let me pause and slow that down. You said API, which is the ability for a software like JobTread to communicate with other software. Right. And then you mentioned Zapier. Zapier is a program that allows that is the magic between different softwares and really streamlines the ability for different softwares to talk to each other. And then you mentioned HubSpot. So give maybe a specific example. For example, by having this API in a platform that easily talks with other softwares, here's something that we've done and integrated from HubSpot into JobTread. Give an example of that.
So an example would be in HubSpot, when we move a deal or a project into a certain deal stage. So if we say, okay, now they're a signed client, the Zapier will pick it up and then create the customer, the job record, and any of the custom fields that we've designated for JobTread.
And just streamlines that, right. Instead of the redundancy, instead of having to duplicate it and type it in again.
Correct.
Gotcha. Shawn, have you played around with the API stuff yet?
We have not in Zapier, but I will tell you, I have an entire spreadsheet list of things I want to do with it.
That you've been seeing on the JobTread board, or that others that are doing?
Or just ideas of hey, I don't want to have to type this in every time, or bring this over from here, just have it automatic. I know one of the big ones that they used it for, that they were all saying that JobTread Connect was, they put in any customer, their information goes directly into their Google contacts. So they have everyone's phone number on their phone right there as soon as you sign up. Right.
So you enter them into JobTread, and then there's a sync between, there's a Zapier, there's an API. It just boom, it happens where your Google contacts is connected to JobTread, and that just gets pushed over, which is very nice. And that's a good example. I think even kind of where a couple of things I'm picking. Peter, I picked you because I think you're their super fan. I think you are known as JobTread super fan. So that was kind of easy. And then Shawn, when I was thinking, I'm you know what? I see Shawn on the JobTread board answering a lot of questions that people have, and also asking it. So I just know that you're on that journey of implementing and kind of attacking it. But just a reminder for all of us, when it comes to software, it's kind of man, it's just step by step. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. There's still all kinds of things that you guys are wanting to implement. And then the other thing that comes to mind when you're talking about automating and the API is, here we are in 2023. The more we can streamline, automate in 2024, 2025, it's a competitive advantage. It reduces the workload. It reduces the noise, the redundancy. And if you're a remodeler who isn't super familiar with this, one, you got to study and dig into it. And two, maybe you empower somebody on your team and give them some time and capacity to be able to dig into some of this. And JobTread support team is, my understanding, is really solid as well. Cool. So Peter, you just shared one of the features that you love. I'm going to come back to you for another one here in a second. Shawn, what's kind of a feature or something that's been impactful for you and your business?
I mean, there's many, so it's hard to pick the one.
Give us a few. Give us a few.
Yeah, well, number one thing is being able to customize literally everything. And if you can't customize it yet, I'm sure they're working on making it so that you can. That's kind of one of the really great things is that I can pick from clear estimates the thing I like the most, kind of bring that over. The thing I liked from Builder Trend or how it was set up, I can bring that over and have a special field for whatever I want. Another really good thing, and it's still new, is the formulas. We're trying to figure out how to make that work. I think a lot of people are like for your situation, and we started doing a lot of things that would work for a bathroom, but then they don't necessarily work for other parts of the house. So it's
so let's pause there. So the first thing you mentioned was customization. There's just a lot of flexibility in being able to add fields, make it look the way that you want it to. Peter, you'd echo that, customization wise?
Yes. Yeah.
What's an example of a customization you've been able to make or that made you smile?
What do you call your, construction agreement or whatever? And you can name that however you want. You can show fields that you don't or don't want. All your cost groups, cost items, your tags within your file system, whatever naming convention you want to go with.
That's good. Yeah. Boom. Right. So that probably resonates with a lot of people. And then what you were just mentioning, Shawn, was this formulas interface tool software that they've been able to add into it. And Shawn, you're kind of like, man, I'm wrapping my head around it. What would be an example of kind of how it works? And then Peter, you can take a crack at it. So Shawn, give me an example of like what the formula could do for you?
So basically, you can go to a bathroom and get the lineal footage of the walls, the height of the wall, and then do a formula that gives you the square footage of the entire room. That's just a quick example, but you can do anything. So, we've had it where we're trying to do it where we can estimate a bathroom with just plugging in the dimensions of the bathroom and have it give us all the square footage and numbers that we want price-wise, because you can do a formula to calculate the price that you want based on the square footage, etc.
Cool. And Peter, have you nerded out on it at all?
I'm not too deep, but to echo what Shawn's saying is these parameters, which are also customizable. So you put in whatever parameter, the wall height, the wall length, the square footage, literally you pick whatever you want it to be, So you could say, if I have a 10-foot as a parameter, say give me my perimeter countertop length, and because that parameter is set, it could then therefore automatically calculate, oh, I need this much backsplash because I know the length of my countertop.
Kind of really streamline some of the estimating, some of the scope, some of the I gotcha.
Well, things I always forget. You always forget smoke detectors. Okay, I have a X square foot addition. Always add a smoke detector for every 100 square feet, whatever parameter you want it to be.
Yeah, you may forget that, Peter. Shawn never does. He's got it locked in. Step up your game. Step up your game, Ranney, Blair, Weidmann. No, I'm joking. Okay, so the formulas. What's a couple other features that you guys are using and utilizing that's been very beneficial?
I like the tagging feature where you can tag specific. We mostly use our internal users, but tagging your internal users for specific things. So it could be on a picture, it could be on a document, it could just be a general item on the dashboard. So it really targets your message, and then they obviously know you're directing it at them.
And they get a notification based on that.
Yeah, well, and they just updated their notifications piece. So yeah, the notifications are much more specific and targeted as well.
So your team's using that tag feature quite a bit.
Right.
Okay, cool. Shawn, what's another one that you like?
Yeah, I'd agree with him on the tag feature too. That you can, and on any document that you make, any file you upload, like it has its own thread, and you can tag a specific person on that, so they know exactly what you're talking about. There is no guessing.
Improved communication there.
Yeah. So I like that. The other thing for us, they have a search bar at the top of basically every screen, and you can type in whatever you want, and it will pop up a list of whatever you're searching for. So you don't really have to go searching for the customer that you want. If you're like, oh yeah, so and so, I got to do this here, you just type their name at the top. It'll populate all the, their name or their job or whatever it is that you have in the system, and you can just click on it, and then boom, it takes you right there.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed from using it. Even I think Peter, you might have been the first one to kind of show it to me. And when I went through it, that was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. I was like, it's just fast. It's just fast, and we don't realize, especially when we're in a software, whatever software you're using, if you click it and it's a couple beats, 3-4 seconds just to get to the next screen, you multiply that out by hundreds and hundreds of times for all of your team members and you throughout the year. It's huge. And what you just described, Shawn, feels like when I switched to Gmail from using Outlook, where I used to put it in folders and this and that. And then what I realized was Google is really good at search. And as long as I know a fragment of the information I'm looking for, I can just search it and I find it. It sounds like that's kind of what you're doing of like, if I know what I'm looking for, instead of clicking here to click here to click here, I just search it and it pulls up, which again is just saving you time, helping you be more productive.
Absolutely, yeah. As soon as I showed one of the guys here, like, hey, by the way, because he couldn't find even a closed job, right? You close the job, you can't find it anymore. It doesn't show up on your list. Type it in at the top and shows right up, boom, takes it to him, and now he's using it for everything.
Gotcha. Cool. Scheduling, utilizing it for that quite a bit. To-dos, daily logs, time tracking.
All that.
I got that. Yep.
Yeah, cool. Well, you were just mentioning there, Shawn and Peter, I'd be curious your take on this. As far as any software that we're using, getting our team to use it, believe in it, be as excited as you guys are with it, what has it been like to get your team to kind of buy into to utilizing it and making it part of the day-to-day?
Well, they always have to see the benefit for them first to really understand. But I'll tell you, our team latched on to pretty quickly, but also our clients and really a lot of our trade partners and vendors who never participated in other programs started using this one. And their feedback to us was, this is like way simpler. It's way quicker. It's way faster. All the things. And I know there's been grief before because they don't have a technical app, but the app that is, you can use on your phone is the full system, which is very nice, especially as me, like an admin or as someone who's in charge of settings and stuff. Someone's got a settings issue, so I can just get on my phone and bam, 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 I can fix their permission or add them to a document or whatever it needs to be.
Why do you think the trades and the vendors have kind of actually started utilizing it and using it? It's just quick. They click on it. They don't have to log in. It's just streamlined. What's been the feedback?
The login. They don't have to log in. Now, if you're a client and you start paying, you need to log in, but that's pretty obvious. You have a bank account thing on your record. But especially for vendors that we use all the time, they don't have to log in. You just click in. It takes you right to the document that we sent to them. And one of the Zaps, the Zapier thing, and it's made for non-programmers. You don't have to know anything about programming. Is if you send a bid request, the Zap will pick it up and you can text your vendor and it'll have a link. So on the text, you can click the link and it goes right to the document on their phone. So it's even simpler than getting an email and clicking that.
Very cool. And then Shawn, how's your team kind of embraced it, or what's a lesson that you've learned?
I think starting small and not forcing it down their throats with everything. We started with the clocking in and out because that was the most important thing. Like if we're going to get off the other system and get onto the new one, clocking in and out. So, I mean, you can make all your items something they can clock in and out of. I kept it simple. I did demo, framing, insulation, just the main categories. That's where they clock in and out. We have special items in our bid just for that. And then I can really estimate the project however I want. But it kept it easy for them. And they saw the benefit of all of it right away and kind of had no problem doing it.
Off and rolling. Cool. And then, Peter, it sounds like one of the reasons you came over was related to job costing. So if you've got a $250,000 project, Nice little whole house thing or a little addition going on. If I logged into your JobTread, you pulled that up, and I said, all right, I want to see your job costing. Describe kind of what I would be seeing and looking at.
There's two ways that I view it, and it might be a settings thing, but the first way is you can view it through the budget, which anybody could do that with mostly, with right permissions. But you can see what you estimated, internally, what you had a bid request for, so what a vendor said it would actually cost,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see what the actual cost was because that might vary, right? So you can track the variances all the way through. And at the far right columns, if you have those open to look at, you can see if you had slippage, grippage, it'll give you a dollar amount, percentage, it'll total up at the bottom. Another way that I look at it is there's a reports tab, and that sums up everything on a high level. So you can quickly see, grippage, slippage, and if you want to dig into details further, then you can go back to the actual budget. And I think that's the budget tab for me was like the difference because everything is there. You don't have to click to another section, another module, and dig into like, well, why do we pay this guy more money than it? The PO was. Everything's there. It's just click, look, yes or no.
And I hesitate to get too nerdy, but when you have the actual, you've got that electrician, you've got their PO, there's their amount for $10,000, and then you look at that actual, and it's $10,500. Okay, so we've got a little bit of slippage there. That amount in there, do you have it set up where that bill, that invoice, is going into JobTread and then pushing to QuickBooks, or how would you easily kind of explain that part of it?
Right. So we enter the bill through JobTread, and we using QuickBooks Online. It syncs up with online. We produce an AP report weekly that's emailed to us through QuickBooks, and from there we do our AP.
Got it. Accounts payable side of things.
Yes.
Cool. So that interface between JobTread and QuickBooks has been
online.
QuickBooks Online. Yes, you
On
emphasize that.
Desktop, you're going to hear a lot of grumbling.
Yeah.
But online, it works very well, and they've actually improved it even more because you couldn't do credits before for clients or anybody, and it was kind of a hassle. Now you can do credits, which is really nice because credits are real. They happen in real. It's nice to be able to track that within JobTread, and credit card expenses can now flow both ways.
I think that's what you just described there even is welcome to software and marrying software together. QuickBooks Desktop, can it happen? Yeah, they can make that work. You're going to hear some grumbling though. It's not as smooth, but QuickBooks Online and JobTread, match up really, really smoothly. I think Eric and the team at JobTread would say, hey, you could utilize both, but here's kind of why we would recommend. Even Peter's like, no, don't do it.
Like as a former accountant, people say, I need the reports. I mean, there are some use cases that I've seen from other users and stuff at different conferences, but by and large, none of us need reports that you can't get out of QuickBooks Online.
Yeah. Especially if my job costing is dialed in on the JobTread side. You're doing your job costing in JobTread, and you've got your QuickBooks where you can run your P&L. You can have your annual budget versus actual, accounts payable, accounts receivable, all of that. Interesting. And Shawn, Peter was kind of mentioning some of the improvements. What have you, something that I just see and hear a lot, and this is part of the reason I was like, you know what, let's figure out a way to kind of, I'll support you guys and you support me. Man, they just seem to be always very much wanting to improve, listening to clients. Have you kind of, what's your experience on that, or what have you seen from the client standpoint?
They have listened to everybody about everything. The owner is on at 2 a.m. responding.
Yeah, he needs to sleep. Eric, I know Eric's listening to this because he's like, wait, they're talking about JobTread. It's like an infomercial almost, but like real world stuff. I know he's listening. He needs to go to sleep.
Oh yeah.
Get some rest, Eric.
Get some rest, Eric. But also send us the hats we asked for.
Yeah. They're great. I mean, any issues, even our support manager, I email him. If it's an issue they don't know about, he's getting back to me within the day saying they pushed out a fix for it. And the thing is you don't even know they pushed out a fix. You don't even know that they've pushed out an update. All of a sudden, you're like, hey, where'd this come from? Like, this wasn't here before. And you go to their Facebook group, and they're like, hey, push this out, check it out.
Yeah.
They're amazing when it comes to their support.
Yeah, just nimble, right? And sort of kind of nimble and hungry. And that's kind of what I gathered from Eric the first time I met him. I'm like, oh, you've done this software thing before. You've already built up a software, and this was over on a school and college and university side of things. And he's they kind of built that. And it's almost through this and that kind of got the band back together after he started doing some work with a remodeler. And that confidence and that understanding of they know what they're stinking doing, and they're just hyper focused on the client experience. It's a good reminder for all of us, really. Of I think sometimes we get our minds focused in on the financials of our business, of the issues that we're having, this and that. We all need to be reminded, and I think JobTread's doing a good job of that, of be hyper focused on the client's experience. If we are taking care of our clients really, really well, if Peter is sharing that with his team of guys above everything else, we want to give a remarkable client experience to our clients. Shawn, the same thing. Good things will happen. And I think that's kind of what you guys are tasting on the JobTread side. It's like they're just obsessed with making sure that the client, you guys, are having a great experience with it.
It's almost exhausting sometimes, the amount of updates. Or like, I got to watch this video to figure out what they added now.
Yeah. Better that than
one of the
otherwise.
Coolest experiences I had with JobTread. And look, no software is perfect. I'm not saying JobTread is, because they all have their own things and you got to work at them. But at the Connect conference, we got to talk to the developers. What other software company do you ever get to see a developer ever?
Mm-hmm.
So being able to talk face to face with those people and like really understand like how their brains work and how they're developing the software, what their roadmap is, that was pretty cool.
You guys excited to go to the JobTread conference and hear me speak this year?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I was excited to go. I didn't hear it. Was it you're speaking to?
Yes. I'm a little key.
I got signed up for another session. Sorry.
I think it's actually the keynote. I think everybody will be in the room. And Peter, I know you'll be there. You'll be there supporting. I know you will. Or maybe you'll just go take some calls during that time. I know you will. Cool. Excellent. So I think, kind of the goal here was to hear a little bit of your guys' experience, a little bit of the before and kind of the after, which I think we've done, even just highlighting from two remodelers what has been impactful, helpful from a feature standpoint, kind of mission accomplished there. What has been, if we can go around the horn on this one, what has been kind of one of the harder aspects of implementing JobTread or software in general? What kind of comes to mind of maybe you've overcome it, but man, we were struggling with fill in the blank. I think it's good for, there's just a lot of remodelers listening to this that can be encouraged by kind of your answer to that. Shawn, what's kind of your answer to, man, one of the hardest aspects of this was or even still is? And then Peter, you can share too.
I think the hardest thing is deciding like how you want to build this system, because it's a system that you're building and tailoring for you and how your business works. And you may have a way you do things somewhere else and it doesn't quite work exactly how you want it to in here, but you find that system and figure out how you want it to work in this system. And just starting small was really start with one thing. Don't try to do everything at once.
Mm-hmm.
For us, it was get the time clock set up, get them in there, clocking in and out so that we can job cost at least that side of it. Then getting daily logs in and that side of it so that they have the information that they need every day. And it just made it so much easier to implement it when we started small and slow.
Yeah, piece by piece.
One thing at a time. And then you can come back to it and retailor it to fit better. But
yeah, done is better than perfect is part of what I'm hearing there. Yeah. And then starting one piece at a time and getting it moving. And then Peter, what's your answer to that question?
The utilization of the software seems, and this is similar to what Shawn is kind of saying, where I see people get overwhelmed either by I got to implement all this stuff, and then kind of the opposite thing where people try. I see examples where it's like there's just so much focus on making everything perfect and really like your chart of accounts or your cost items. just getting just absolutely crazy with like the detail and
Mm.
you can always layer in later, but I think being overwhelmed with just which parts to use and how to use it.
Mm.
And I'd
Gotcha.
even say stay smaller with that stuff. Like he said, with putting in your, you know, things that you want to have sync over to QuickBooks. Don't get crazy because it's going to make it harder to change everything later if you decide you want to switch it. Because now you're
Especially if you
really,
get too granular.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
No,
Very good.
no software is perfect. You know, you're gonna have to work at it. You're gonna get in what you're gonna get what you get in,
Yep.
and it's
Go ahead.
you go ahead.
But I mean, are you
I'm done.
sure? You want beauty before
I'm a
age? You
southerner. I'm
want
polite.
You are polite. You also are getting pretty good at this. We've done a couple interviews. You're like media trained, where you're giving these very succinct answers, and I'm like, is he? No, he's done. I should start talking again. I'm like,
I'm not a
it's
long
very.
talker. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I think the last thing I kind of want to share here, and then I'll have you guys have kind of a final word too, is what we're talking about here. It overall, yes, JobTread we're talking about, but what we're talking about overall is you're a remodeling business, and how are you going to utilize and integrate and make software part of your business? If you are still doing things in a very archaic way, if you're still emailing this over, you're still getting signed documents by printing it out and having them sign it, if you are not utilizing daily logs and digital scheduling and integrating your customer, there's just so much technology that can enhance productivity, efficiency, etc. Line up Buildertrend, line up CoConstruct, line up JobTread, line up others, and dig in and do the work that you need to do to pick a solution, and then dive into it. And like Shawn was saying, just step by step, piece by piece. It is Here I am coaching hundreds of remodelers over the years, and from my seat, I can say, man, especially over the last 2, 3, 4 years, the software is getting better, and people in our industry are really realizing we've got to do more with less resources around us. We've got to be able to streamline the process, speed up the process. So just a little bit of encouragement for those listening to, it's hard work. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes investment, but it is very much worth it. So that's my little rant at the end. And then Peter and Shawn, what would you say? Hey, if you heard nothing else related to JobTread or related to software, and you're just talking to one of your remodeling brethren, what would you say to them and kind of emphasize to them about this?
I would say to
Peter, I
look.
thought you were a Southern gentleman. You're not going to let Shawn go first?
We already agreed,
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Peter.
Sean. But please, if you'd like to go
No, no,
ahead.
no, no, Peter. You just blast out first, and instead of asking if he wanted to go first. Southern gentleman.
He
All
did
right,
say
do what?
he did say your name first, so
I did.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I would say look for softwares that communicate with each other. The conference I've been to recently, that seems to be like a prevailing thing. Maybe like many years ago, software was trying to do everything, one
Mm,
software, and that just isn't the way software seems to be developed now. So Slack is really excellent at communication. JobTread is really excellent at project management. HubSpot's really excellent at, and PipeDrive and other ones are really good at CRMs. And find softwares you can use to talk to each other and learn Zapier. It's really straightforward. It's pretty simple. It takes a little getting used to understanding kind of like the logic stuff that it goes through, but once you can get that rolling, it really speeds things up for you.
mm. And that conference that you went to, was that the Pinnacle
I went to the
thing?
Pinnacle and the FAST conference in
Fast conference
Baltimore.
was very much focused on kind of the software and the tech stack.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a good reminder there. And then even, when I was saying what's kind of one of the top features of JobTread, you went API and Zapier and the ability to talk with each other. So
Yeah.
some people hearing that might be a little bit more college level versus, well, we got to start down here. But that's very wise of, we've got to have these different softwares be able to talk to each other and understand how that works. Cool. And then Shawn, what would you say if you heard nothing else from what we were talking about? Make sure that you heard this. What would you emphasize?
well, your favorite. I'm gonna go with job costing. Um, you can set everything up and have it all go into JobTread. Where before, my crazy system was, clear estimates, and then I'm going into builder trend, and now I'm like looking and comparing numbers, writing notes, checking things off, going, okay,
I remember
okay.
there were some random spreadsheets you were coming up with,
Oh yeah,
etc.
yeah, everything I could come up with. But now it's like I have, I can even have four different views where I break out material, labor, trades, and other, and I can just see that part of it on that view, or I can have my own view where I can look at all of it at once, and you can see exactly what you want to see, and it just makes it so much easier to have one place to look and know that it's right.
Awesome. Gentlemen, we had a little bit of fun. You both did a fantastic job. And I think the people listening to this have a little better clarity and could probably just pick and choose or apply some of what you guys were sharing to their own business and continue to move forward in their business. So thank you for taking the time. I think we are probably going to get some hats out of this. And maybe Bailey might even send you a little Remodelers on the Rise swag. Who knows? But thank you so much for being willing to invest some time on this.
Sound like a promise, Kyle.
It did sound like a promise, didn't it?
Better
I
see
think
one
she's
in the mail
listening.
soon.
What'd you say, Shawn?
We better see one in the mail soon.
Okay, I'm gonna jot this down old school wise and make sure it'll happen, gentlemen. It'll happen. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.
Appreciate it.
Bye.